In the gentle embrace of the medieval night, when the world was cloaked in a silken darkness, the people of Europe would find themselves softly guided into the realms of sleep. In those times, the flickering dance of candlelight played shadows upon walls of stone and wood, casting a warm glow that whispered of ancient stories and traditions. The air would grow still, and the cacophony of daily life would slowly fade, leaving only the serene sound of rustling leaves and the distant call of a night bird echoing through the cool evening. In this era, sleep was a precious respite from the rigors of daylight toil. With the sun's descent beyond the horizon, a gentle, inevitable rhythm would guide the weary towards rest. You might imagine, as twilight deepened, the inhabitants of bustling villages and solitary farmsteads alike would prepare for the night in ways that were both practical and steeped in custom. The beds they retired to were often simple constructions, crafted from wood, filled with straw or feathers, and covered with linen or woolen blankets that offered warmth against the chill of the night air. This bedding, though modest by modern standards, provided a comforting embrace, a cocoon of softness that cradled the body and eased it into slumber. In the quiet chambers of stone castles and humble cottages, the scent of herbs might linger, mingling with the earthy aroma of the day's labors. Lavender, rosemary, and chamomile, gathered from gardens and fields, were cherished not only for their fragrance, but for their reputed ability to usher in restful sleep. These aromatic treasures were sometimes tucked into pillows or hung in bundles above beds, their subtle perfumes weaving a gentle, calming atmosphere that beckoned sleep to come softly, like a gentle mist rolling over a tranquil landscape. The medieval night was segmented by a pattern known as biphasic sleep, a natural rhythm where slumber was divided into two distinct phases. In the early hours of the evening, the first sleep would envelop the household, a deep initial rest that was later gently interrupted. During this wakeful interlude, many would engage in quiet contemplation, prayer, or even whispered conversations with loved ones, before drifting once more into the second phase of sleep. This practice, now largely forgotten, was considered normal and provided time for reflection and stillness amidst the night's embrace. And so, as the stars twinkled above, the people of medieval Europe believed sleep to be a sacred state, a time when the soul could wander and the mind could replenish itself. Dreams were regarded with a reverent curiosity, often seen as omens or messages from the divine. The wisest among them, the healers and the sages, might interpret these dreams, seeking insights into the future or guidance for decisions yet to come. It was a world where the boundaries between the waking and the dreaming were thin, and the night held a mysterious power that commanded respect and awe. In those quiet hours, the sounds of the medieval night would form a soothing symphony. The distant murmur of a stream, the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the occasional hoot of an owl would create a tranquil soundscape. These nocturnal melodies were the backdrop to countless nights, offering a rhythmic cadence that lulled many into deeper realms of rest. The absence of modern disturbances like the hum of machinery or the glare of electric lights allowed a purer kind of darkness, one that enveloped the senses and provided a canvas for dreams to unfold. The architecture of sleep in medieval times was as varied as the lands themselves. In the grand halls of a castle, a lord might retire behind heavy draperies that enclosed a grand four-poster bed, offering both privacy and warmth. Meanwhile, in the simpler abodes of peasants, families might share a single room, each member nestled close for warmth and comfort. The communal nature of these sleeping arrangements fostered a sense of togetherness, a shared experience of rest that reinforced bonds and provided security against the unknowns of the darkened world outside. In these hushed moments, as the moon cast its pale light through small windows, illuminating the rough-hewn beams of a cottage ceiling, one could almost feel the weight of time itself slowing, allowing each breath to deepen and elongate. The medieval night was a time of renewal, a pause in the ceaseless cycle of seasons and harvests. It was a time for stories passed down through generations, whispered into the darkness, knitting the fabric of community and identity. And as the first light of dawn began to paint the eastern sky in hues of soft pink and gold, the world would stir once more. The gentle transition from night to day would awaken the sleepers, coaxing them from their dreams. Birds would begin their morning chorus, and the rhythms of life would resume, carrying the memory of the night's quietude into the brightness of a new day. In this timeless dance of night and day, the people of medieval Europe found solace and strength. Sleep was more than mere rest. It was a sacred interlude, a nightly pilgrimage into the depths of the soul. And so, as you drift into your own dreams, carried on the whispers of history, may you find the same peace and renewal that generations before have sought in the quiet of the medieval night. As the gentle waves of sleep wash over you, let the echoes of the past soothe your spirit and guide you gently into the tender embrace of slumber. In the serene embrace of medieval Europe, as twilight gently descended upon the landscape, the rhythm of daily life began to slow and soften, much like the gentle lullaby of a distant stream. The sun, having painted the skies with hues of gold and crimson, quietly slipped below the horizon, leaving behind a tapestry of stars that twinkled softly in the velvety night. In those tranquil hours, the people of the medieval world would ease into their nightly routines, guided by the gentle pull of nature's cycles and the whispered lore of their ancestors. As the day faded, villagers and townsfolk alike would return to their humble abodes, structures crafted from timber and stone, nestled within the protective embrace of their communities. Here, the hearth would be the heart of the home, its flickering glow casting a warm, dancing light upon rough-hewn walls, illuminating the simple yet cherished belongings of daily life. You might imagine the soft crackle of the fire, a comforting sound that soothed the soul and signaled the coming of rest. In those moments of transition from day to night, families would gather around the fire, sharing stories passed down through generations, tales of mythical creatures and noble quests that stirred the imagination yet calmed the spirit. The air would be filled with the earthy smells of burning wood, mingling with the fragrant herbs hung to dry, a scent that lingered sweetly in the quietude of the evening. Medieval sleep was often divided into two distinct phases, known as first sleep and second sleep, a practice that reflected the natural ebb and flow of the human body. As darkness settled in, people would retire for their first slumber, a period of rest typically beginning a few hours after dusk. Their beds, simple constructions of straw-filled mattresses or sacks of hay, were arranged upon wooden frames or nestled directly on earthen floors, offering a rustic comfort that embraced the weary. The air would grow still, the only sounds being the gentle snores of family members or the soft rustling of straw as bodies shifted in peaceful repose. Outside, the night would unfold in its quiet symphony, the occasional hoot of an owl or the distant call of a night creature adding to the serene atmosphere. In those quiet hours, dreams would weave their gentle tapestries, stories of the subconscious that flowed with the rhythm of the night. After several hours of this first sleep, it was customary for individuals to awaken naturally in the stillness of the night, a time known as the watch. This interlude was embraced as a period of reflection and quiet activity, where one might rise to tend to a household task, engage in prayer, or simply enjoy a moment of solitude. The flickering light of the fire would cast long shadows, creating a soft interplay of light and dark that seemed to dance with the quiet musings of the mind. As the night progressed, the second sleep would beckon, inviting sleepers to return to their slumber until the first light of dawn began to paint the skies once more. This cycle, deeply intertwined with the natural rhythms of the earth, allowed for a restorative rest that prepared the medieval folk for the demands of their daily lives. The beliefs surrounding sleep were rich with symbolism and superstition, often reflecting the mysteries that sleep itself held. Dreams were seen as portents or messages from the divine, offering guidance or insight into the events of one's life. It was believed that the veil between the worlds of the living and the spirit was thinnest during sleep, allowing for encounters with otherworldly beings, both benevolent and mischievous. Yet these beliefs, rather than invoking fear, added to the tapestry of medieval life, infusing it with wonder and reverence for the unknown. In the gentle glow of the morning light, as the world slowly awakened from its slumber, the rhythms of daily life would resume. The chirping of birds heralded the new day, their songs a natural symphony that accompanied the rustling of leaves in the morning breeze. The scent of dew-kissed earth mingled with the aroma of freshly baked bread, a sign of sustenance and the continuity of life. And so, as the medieval day unfolded, the cycle of activity and rest continued, each part of the day embraced with a quiet acceptance of its place in the grand tapestry of existence. The nights, with their gentle rhythms and soft repose, held a special place in the hearts of those who lived in this ancient world, a time for dreams and reflection, a time to be cradled by the comforting arms of sleep. In this way, the medieval people found their rest, a sleep that was as much a part of their daily lives as the sun that rose each morning to greet them anew. In the gentle embrace of medieval Europe's night, as the sun dipped below the horizon and shadows lengthened across the land, the world softened into a tranquil calmness. You might imagine the quietude settling over a small village, nestled amid rolling hills, where cobblestone paths wound their way between timber-framed cottages. The air, cool and crisp, carried the earthy scent of the day's work, mingling with the rich aroma of wood smoke, curling lazily from chimney tops like ghostly ribbons. As the sky deepened into a velvety indigo, stars began to twinkle overhead, casting a soft, silvery light that danced over the landscape. The moon, a gentle guardian in its celestial arc, bathed the world in a serene glow, its light slipping through the branches of slumbering trees, creating a delicate lacework of shadows upon the ground. In those quiet hours, the bustling energy of the day gave way to a peaceful stillness, and the rhythm of life slowed to a gentle, lulling pace. Within the walls of a medieval home, the environment was shaped by the natural elements, where the thick stone and timber structures provided a cocoon of warmth and protection. The interior was often dimly lit by the soft flicker of a tallow candle or the glowing embers of a hearth fire, casting a warm, golden hue that soothed the eyes and calmed the spirit. The air inside was infused with the faint scent of herbs and dried flowers, hung from rafters to ward off illness and provide a comforting fragrance to the home. And so, the people of this time embraced the cycles of nature, their lives attuned to the rising and setting of the sun. As evening descended, families would gather around the hearth, the heart of the home, where stories were shared in hushed tones, and the gentle crackle of burning wood provided a rhythmic backdrop to their whispered conversations. It was here, in the glow of the fire, that the day's labor gradually faded away, replaced by the soothing rituals of preparation for rest. In those medieval nights, sleep was not merely an act of necessity, but a profound experience, deeply interwoven with the rhythms of the natural world. People often slept in segmented patterns, known as first and second sleep, allowing them to wake during the night to tend to the fire, say prayers, or reflect quietly in the stillness before drifting into slumber once more. This practice echoed the natural ebb and flow of the night, a gentle nod to the passage of time that encouraged a harmonious balance with the universe. The beds themselves were humble yet inviting, often consisting of a simple wooden frame filled with straw or down, covered with layers of woolen blankets or furs to ward off the chill of the night. You might imagine the sensation of sinking into such a bed, the soft rustle of straw beneath you, as the comforting weight of a woolen coverlet envelops you, coaxing you into a state of relaxation and ease. Sleep, in this era, was a refuge, a place where the mind could wander freely and the body could find respite from the labors of the day. And so, the senses were gently cradled by the elements of a medieval night. The whisper of the wind through the thatched roof, the distant hoot of an owl, or the soft patter of rain against the window would lull the inhabitants into a peaceful slumber. The sounds of nature were an ever-present lullaby, a reminder of the world outside, timeless and enduring. In this tranquil setting, beliefs about sleep were imbued with a quiet reverence. It was thought that dreams were windows to the soul, offering glimpses into one's inner world and perhaps even carrying messages from beyond. The gentle act of sleep was seen as a communion with the divine, a sacred time when the spirit could roam free, untethered by the constraints of the waking world. As the night wore on and the village lay under the watchful gaze of the stars, the world drifted deeper into its slumber. The cadence of breathing, soft and steady, filled the air, a symphony of life resting in perfect harmony. And in this serene environment, sleep held its gentle sway, wrapping the medieval landscape in a cocoon of tranquility until the first light of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of soft pink and gold. In those early hours, the world would slowly awaken, and the cycle of life would begin anew. But for now, in the embrace of night, all was still, and the gentle touch of sleep carried souls into dreams, weaving the tapestry of rest that connected the past with the eternal night sky. As you imagine these scenes, let yourself drift into your own peaceful slumber, wrapped in the soothing embrace of history and the quiet comforts of a simpler time. In the gentle embrace of the Middle Ages, nestled within the tapestry of medieval Europe, the night unfolded its quiet mysteries in a world that slumbered beneath the watchful gaze of the stars. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow that softly faded into the cool blues of twilight, the people of these ancient lands prepared for the restful hours that lay ahead. Life in the medieval village, with its quaint stone cottages and meandering cobblestone paths, was governed by the rhythm of the seasons and the cycles of the moon, each evening a serene prelude to the dreams that would carry them through the night. In those times, the concept of sleep was woven with a sense of communal life and shared spaces. The hearth, with its comforting glow and crackling warmth, served as the heart of the home, where families gathered to recount the day's tales and share simple meals. By the fire's light, shadows danced playfully on the walls, and the soft murmur of voices blended with the soothing hiss of burning wood. Here the family might linger, savoring the warmth before retreating to their slumber. As darkness deepened, the household retired to their sleeping quarters, often a single room shared by all. The beds were modest, made of straw-stuffed mattresses laid upon wooden frames, covered with blankets woven from wool, their texture a comforting reminder of the earth's bounty. You might imagine the gentle rustle as bodies settled into their places, each seeking the perfect position to ease into the tranquility of sleep. The scent of the fields, captured in the straw, mingled with the faint aroma of herbs tucked beneath pillows, believed to ward off evil spirits and encourage restful dreams. In these shared spaces, sleep was not a solitary endeavor, but a communal experience. The sounds of breathing, quiet whispers, and the occasional rustling of the straw created a symphony that lulled the inhabitants into a peaceful state. Nighttime was a time for stories, for quiet prayers spoken into the darkness, and for the comforting presence of loved ones nearby. The medieval night was not a time to be feared, but a gentle interlude between the labors of the day and the promise of the morrow. The medieval mind held a rich tapestry of beliefs about sleep, interwoven with spirituality and superstition. Dreams were regarded as divine messages or omens, and their interpretation was a matter of great importance. The boundary between the waking world and the dream realm was thin, and many believed that the soul traveled beyond the body's confines during slumber, exploring realms invisible to the waking eye. It was a time when the mysterious and the mystical held sway, when the veil between the earthly and the ethereal seemed to slip away. In the villages and towns, the pace of life was dictated by the sun. Yet the night held its own rhythm, one of introspection and quietude. As the moon cast its silvery light upon the land, the world seemed to pause, enveloped in a gentle hush. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke. The only sounds that broke the stillness were the occasional hoot of an owl or the distant howl of a wolf, reminders of the natural world that lay just beyond the village confines. In the grand halls of castles and manors, the rituals of sleep took on a different character. The nobility, with their wealth and status, enjoyed the luxury of separate chambers and richly adorned beds. Heavy drapes hung from canopies, lending a sense of privacy and warmth. The finest linens, soft to the touch and embroidered with intricate patterns, covered the beds, while tapestries adorned the walls, depicting scenes of legend and lore. Yet, even in these opulent surroundings, the night retained its quiet magic, and the dreams of the nobility were no less vivid or significant than those of the common folk. And so, in the quiet hours of the medieval night, the world rested beneath a canopy of stars, each twinkle a gentle reminder of the vast expanse above. The medieval people, with their simple yet profound understanding of the connection between the earthly and the celestial, succumbed to the soothing embrace of sleep, their dreams weaving a tapestry of hope, fear, and wonder. As the night wore on, the gentle cadence of their breathing filled the air, a soft lullaby that cradled the world in its gentle rhythm. As dawn approached, the first light of day crept over the horizon, casting a soft glow upon the sleeping village. The world began to stir, the promise of a new day awakening the senses. Birds sang their morning chorus, and the gentle rustling of leaves in the morning breeze whispered a soft greeting to the waking world. Slowly, the people rose from their slumber, refreshed and ready to embrace the challenges and joys that lay ahead. And so in these medieval times, the night was a sacred space, a time of rest and renewal, where the boundary between the earthly and the ethereal was as fluid as the dreams that carried the soul on its nightly journey. In those quiet hours, the world found peace, and the gentle touch of sleep wove its magic, leaving a lingering sense of calm as the new day dawned. In the quiet moments of medieval Europe, when the sun had gently dipped below the horizon, and the twilight hues of dusk began to settle over the land, a soft tranquility enveloped villages and towns alike. The air, growing cooler and crisper with the onset of evening, carried with it the scent of wood smoke curling lazily from chimneys, mingling with the earthy aroma of the surrounding fields and forests. As the day's laborious activities drew to a close, a gradual hush descended upon the bustling streets and lively marketplaces. People retreated to their homes and hearths, seeking solace and rest from the day's toil. Homes in this era, whether humble cottages or more stately manor houses, were often constructed of timber and stone, their walls thick enough to insulate against the chill of the night. Inside, the flickering glow of candlelight cast soft shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere both intimate and serene. The gentle crackling of the hearth fire, a constant companion during the colder months, provided warmth and a sense of security as families gathered to share their evening meal, often a simple fare of bread, cheese, and perhaps a stew simmered slowly over the flames. In those quiet hours, the concept of sleep was not merely a respite, but rather a deeply woven part of the medieval worldview, encased in layers of belief and custom. The night was a time when the veil between the earthly and the mystical was thought to thin, and dreams were regarded as potent messages from the divine or omens of things yet to come. It was common for individuals to ponder their dreams upon waking, seeking meaning in their symbols and narratives. As the evening wore on, the rhythm of life slowed further. Families prepared for bed, the children often huddled together for warmth on pallets of straw or simple mattresses stuffed with wool or feathers. The adults, too, sought comfort in their bedding, a simple yet cherished affair adorned with hand-woven blankets and coverlets, offering a touch of softness in a world often defined by its hardships. The texture of the linen against the skin was familiar and reassuring, a gentle embrace as one drifted into slumber. In medieval society, sleep was seen as a segmented experience. It was not uncommon for people to experience what was known as first sleep and second sleep, two distinct periods of rest separated by an interval of wakefulness. During this tranquil interlude, individuals might rise to tend to the fire, reflect upon the day's events, or even engage in quiet activities such as reading by lamplight or prayer. This time was often viewed as an opportunity for contemplation and spiritual reflection, a sacred pause in the fabric of the night. And so, as the hours unfolded, the sounds of the medieval night, gentle breezes rustling through the leaves, the distant call of a night bird, the occasional bark of a dog, lulled the weary minds of the people into a deeper state of rest. The stars above, twinkling softly in the velvet sky, watched over the slumbering world below, a celestial canopy under which dreams could unfurl with a quiet grace. Sleep was revered not only for its restorative qualities, but also as a time when the soul could wander free, unbound by the earthly constraints of waking life. It was a bridge to the spiritual realm, a time when the ordinary and the extraordinary could mingle, and the mysteries of the universe seemed just a touch closer, hidden within the folds of slumber. As you might imagine, the medieval nights were a time of harmony and balance, where the routine of daily life yielded to the gentle, rhythmic pulse of the natural world. The moon, in its stately progression across the sky, cast its silvery light upon the sleeping forms, a tranquil guardian of the night. Families, nestled in their modest abodes, found comfort in the predictability of these nocturnal cycles, trusting that the dawn would bring a renewed sense of possibility with its golden light. And so, in these quiet moments of medieval Europe, the world slipped into a peaceful lull, a collective sigh of relief from the demands of the day. The ancient rhythms of sleep and rest, intertwined with the beliefs and customs of the time, guided the people through the night, offering solace and rejuvenation for both body and spirit. As the night deepened, the whisper of dreams carried on gentle breezes, inviting all to embrace the soothing embrace of sleep, where the boundaries of time and space softened, and the soul could find its restful haven amidst the shadows and silence of the medieval night. In those quiet hours of the medieval night, as the flickering light of the hearth cast gentle shadows across thatched roofs and cobblestone streets, the world seemed to exhale, settling into the embrace of silence. The people of medieval Europe, having completed their daily toils, would retreat to their humble abodes, where the rhythm of life slowed to a gentle lull. You might imagine the comforting creak of wooden floorboards beneath weary feet, the faint rustle of straw mattresses being fluffed, and the low murmur of whispered conversations as families prepared to drift into the realm of dreams. In those times, sleep was not merely a biological necessity, but a sacred ritual, interwoven with beliefs and customs that shaped the way people perceived the night. Unlike the continuous 8-hour sleep cycle we often strive for today, medieval folk often divided their slumber into two distinct phases. As the moon climbed higher in the velvet sky, they would settle into their first sleep, known as the first sleep or dead sleep, a deep rest that enveloped them like a soft cloak, bringing with it a profound stillness. The air outside, crisp and cool, carried the distant hoot of an owl or the gentle rustling of leaves, lulling the world into tranquility. In the middle of the night, during a time known as the watch, it was not uncommon for people to awaken from their first sleep. This interlude was a time for quiet reflection or whispered prayers, wrapped in the warmth of their woolen blankets. Some might rise to tend to the embers of the fire, adding a log to keep the night chill at bay, while others might engage in hushed conversations or contemplate the flickering shadows on the walls. It was a time of stillness, of gentle pondering, before they would return to their beds for the second sleep, which carried them softly through to the morning light. The very act of sleeping, in those days, was often accompanied by a host of beliefs and practices meant to safeguard the soul during its nightly voyage. Talismans and charms might be tucked beneath pillows or hung above beds, believed to ward off malicious spirits and ensure peaceful dreams. The fragrance of herbs like lavender or chamomile might linger in the air, their soothing scents weaving a tapestry of calm that enveloped the senses. In the countryside, the gentle lowing of cattle or the distant song of a nightingale might be the only sounds to break the stillness, a reminder of the living world beyond the dreamscape. In this medieval tapestry of night, The architecture of sleep was as varied as the people themselves. Nobles might rest upon ornate feather beds, their chambers adorned with tapestries depicting serene forests or tranquil seas, while peasants found comfort on simple pallets of straw, huddled together for warmth and companionship. The walls of their homes, whether stone or wattle and daub, seemed to breathe with them, holding within their confines the stories of countless slumbers. And so, as the medieval night wore on, the world outside continued its gentle dance, the stars twinkling like ancient sentinels in the sky. The moon, a silver guardian, cast its glow over fields and forests, over towns and villages, knitting the landscape in its tranquil embrace. In this time of rest, the worries of the day faded into the background, replaced by the quiet hum of dreams and the promise of a new dawn. As the first light of morning began to creep over the horizon, the medieval world slowly stirred from its slumber. Birds chirped their morning songs, greeting the sun with a chorus that pierced the stillness of night. The people awoke, refreshed and renewed, ready to face the day's labors with spirits lifted by the respite of night. They would rise from their beds, shake off the remnants of sleep, and step into the morning light, where the cycle of life would begin anew. In those closing moments of the night, the echoes of dreams lingered like a gentle mist, a reminder of the delicate balance between wakefulness and rest. And so, with a final sigh, the medieval world awoke, leaving behind the dreams of night to embrace the possibilities of the day. In this gentle transition, as night gave way to dawn, there was a sense of continuity, a serene reminder that rest and rejuvenation were as vital to the human spirit as the air we breathe. And so, dear listener, as you journey through the corridors of sleep, may you find comfort in the quiet rhythms of the past, and may the gentle embrace of night carry you softly into the realm of dreams, where the world is at peace and time flows as gently as a river on a warm summer's eve.